Howdy there guys, and welcome back to Edgar TV, where today we're going to be looking at five things that we have learnt from this year's World Series of Darts finals. Now, I always like to do these five things videos at the end of any sort of big event or season to look back across the event to see what five things we can take away. What did we learn from this event moving forward? And there's no place better to start than at the very top of that list. The man who won the title, Michael van Gerwen. I think there's no better place to start than a man who is back on top of the world of darts once again, winning another TV title. Now, when we look at Michael van Gerwen, he's been having a lot of time off recently. He's been spending a bit of time away on holiday and also time off for various things. He had a bit of an injury earlier on in the year around the Premier League, and then recently just had a lot of major dental surgery, which seen him pull out of things such as the World Cup of Darts. When we saw him playing at recent Pro Tour events, the standard he was showing was nowhere near what we saw of him this weekend. When we look at him in the World Series finals, he looked unbeatable at times, and when he come back and beat Luke Humphries, after Luke Humphries missed those match darts, going into that final, for me, there was only one winner. Michael van Gerwen hit in form at the right time of year, and I think he's going to be a very, very dangerous customer come the back end of the year as we go into the World Grand Prix, the Grand Slam of Darts, the Players' Championship Finals and the World Championship. Four big ranking events that I can only see being shared between him and Gerwen Price. I think those two players are the ones in form, and they're going to be the most dangerous players. And when we talk about form, I think something that's really key to remember here is we've learned, and I think we knew this anyway, but it just reconfirms it, that the floor form doesn't always transfer to the stage and vice versa. We've seen players in the past that have dominated on the floor. One of the players that people often speak about, Dennis Ovens from the past, would play so well on the floor, but when it comes to those TV stages, wasn't able to produce the same level. Now, in the opposite side of that, we've got Dimitri Vandenberg, a man who's had a torrid time on the floor events, only winning one of his last 9 games and regularly under the 90 average. Came up to the World Series and he had a couple of good performances, a 97.08 in a demolition job over Ricky Evans, and then a 99.52, only missing out 10-8 to Michael van Gerwen, gives him a tournament average of over 98 for those two matches. And then you look at the amount of legs that he played, something I kind of didn't expect to see going into that event. On the flip side of that as well, Peter Wright, great to see him back on form as well. He's been having a little bit of a torrid time of things as of late, but he's just throwing little bits. He's won a Euro Tour, he's won a World Series. Good time of year to start coming back into form again. Peter Wright hitting the semi-finals, good news for him and his fans. Item number 4 on my list comes down to the whole event in general. Now, I'm one of those people who, when we look at like the non-ranked events, I don't kind of get as excited as I do with something like, say, the match play, the World Championship, the Grand Prix, the Grand Slam. One of those that's really going to change the ranking because they've got those big prize pots. But this was really good. This was really entertaining when we looked through the bracket and we looked through some of the games. I mean, we had a huge upset in Keegan Brown beating Gerwen Price. Gerwen Price was the 1-9 favourite to win that game. We had stories galore, the return of former Peter Wright, Nathan Aspinall making another TV final, which, by the way, gives him one of the best records of any player on planet Earth that's ever existed. This is putting him into sort of darts legendary status. There's only now the Players' Championship Finals, which he hasn't made the semi-finals or better of. Lots and lots of stories throughout the event. We saw Hapu Puhai get through as a qualifier over in New Zealand and then came over here and won a game in the finals as well. 3 qualifiers making it through to the second round, and one of those, Keegan Brown, making it through to the quarterfinals as well. A really good, entertaining event and really good sort of lively crowd as well, and the players playing and really showing what it meant to them, I think really added a bit of spark to the event. Final one for me is the Nathan Aspinall throw. Now, a lot's been made of this over time. There's been that issue, is it a regrip, is it not? I was on the Dart Show podcast, Love the Darts, not too long ago, and Nathan Aspinall was on there. He confirmed on that he's trying to play it off a little bit. He knows exactly what it is, which was the dreaded D word, the dartitis, and he's also mentioned that in interviews last night as well after the match, saying there's a flaw in his throw, but he's working with the right people to try and take it out. He also went on to speak about how it's so good for him at the moment because he's won the match play with a flaw in his throw. He reached a final of this with a flaw in his throw, beating some of the best players in the world. He's still playing very, very good darts. He probably just doesn't feel as comfortable as he once did doing so. Now, my personal opinion, and this is purely my personal opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if some of this comes down to a backlash or an aftermath of that ongoing wrist problem that he had. Now, something like that just doesn't go away, and maybe it's caused a bit of a psychological element where he's just not willing to commit to it, maybe a fear anticipation of pain, because that's a future tense, which is what dartitis is. It's a performance anxiety, a future tense, and the anticipation of pain, that pause, also could be down to that because it's again in that future tense. So my personal opinion is it's probably just a bit of an aftermath of that. He'll know better, and the people he's working with will certainly be able to help him with that, and I think he will move forward once again. He's got plenty more to offer the game. He's still only a young player, still in his early 30s, and he's already picking up big titles. So for the sake of darts, I think he'd be a good guy to have around for a lot longer, especially when I tell you about that record that he's got. What do you guys think? What did you take from the World Series of Darts? What's your takeaway? What is something you learnt? Let me know down in the comment section below. Hit the subscribe button on your way down there. I'll catch you soon for some more Edgar TV. Edgar TV.